Hey guys, welcome to the last video, day 6 of the web course. And today I was going to talk about Firebase. Hey guys, welcome to day 6, last day of the web course. And today I was going to talk about Firebase. But before we start, I got a lot of comments about a thing in JavaScript that whenever you save a semicolon and these single quotes become double quotes automatically when you save the file, uh, and why is that happening? So that is actually because of the extension that we installed in our first lesson, that is prettier. So if you I think you remember me asking you to go to settings and search for on save and checking this. So what this actually does is when you save, it activates this prettier extension, and the prettier extension, what it does is it makes this script in a particular style, which I said before in that video. Like in HTML, if your indentation is out of it is not proper, when you save it, the indentation comes back to order. Similarly for JavaScript as well, indentation and all such stuff. There are other things that Pretty also does, like the semicolon thing. So semicolon was actually mandatory before, just like in the C language. If you know C, a semicolon was a mandatory uh, in older versions of JavaScript. So if you have another statement here, it should end with a semicolon. Like every statement should end with a semicolon. But the newer version of JavaScript doesn't require you to put a semicolon. So this is just a personal preference. I don't, so since that semicolon is not required, I don't put that semicolon because I don't really, it just looks, it just looks bad to me. That's it. uh, and similarly the double quotes thing, single quotes and double quotes doesn't really have much of a difference in JavaScript. So you use either, it's fine. So uh, the problem is prettier by default puts semicolon at the end of all statements. So if you want to change that, if it's fine if you have the semicolon and the double quotes, you're not going to get any errors because of that. But if you want to get rid of it, you can just go to prettier. You just find prettier in this extension tab here, and then go to settings and search for the semicolon. Settings semicolon. So yeah, so if you uncheck this, if you check this, what happens is every time you press the save, the semicolon comes. If you uncheck it, every time you save, the semicolon goes. Similarly, there's a bunch of settings available in prettier. You can choose the style of your preference. This is my preference. I prefer the single quotes instead of the double quotes. Again, it just looks bad. I mean, I'm a minimalist, so this looks much more appealing to me. But if you're working in a team and your team follows a different style, it's best if you come to this and change the settings. So that's that. So if you're getting any errors from JavaScript, it is not because of the semicolon, it is because of some other reason. And I think a lot of you, the mistake was you made a spelling mistake, like instead of reveal you might have put reveals. So or let me, that's not the error. Like a lot of you had, yeah, this error. So like for query selector, some of you would input hashtag, so that won't work. And how to check if uh, how to check if what is the error. Like I showed you before, I'm sorry if I wasn't clear enough, uh, but if you want to check errors, what you do is you when you run the website, when you take the website, go to the inspect element, and inside console you'll be able to see the error. So let me just press the button. Which one was it that didn't work? Query select, expand is in page 2. Page 2, this shouldn't work, and if you see here, you can see the error. So here the error shows, like, also it will show you the line number. So 56, that's the line number, is correct. And similarly, it shows document or query selector is null. So if you get such an error, you can be sure that your the content inside the query selector is wrong. So when you put expand project instead of the hashtag, it means it's looking for a tag called expands project, which doesn't exist. So that's why you're getting that error. So if you using the ID, you need to put the hashtag. Similarly, some of you made spelling errors over here, so it could be that as well. So if you're getting any errors, make sure there is no errors here. If there is no errors here, then I'm sorry, you have to look at your own you have to go through your whole script and make sure everything is in order, uh, because some errors won't show up. It might actually there might not be any syntax error, because all these are syntax errors. uh, Now syntax or runtime error, some of these errors can be detected, some of them cannot. So if you still getting an error and you cannot and none of the errors shows up here, then there's no other choice but to just go through the whole code and check if everything is proper. So I just want to address that. There's been other requests for me as well, but I cannot address all of them. Some of you have been requesting me to show you how to make certain features. If I was to do that, this video would be really long, and then plus it is only beneficial to one or two of you. So I'm not going to do that, but if I get time, I'll try and help some of you out. Uh, so anyway, let's get back to Firebase. So before we get into Firebase, we need to know about something known as Node.js. So in the first video, I told you that JavaScript is a language made for websites, right? So that was the original intent. It was supposed to work for these purposes, just to uh, edit your HTML document and all that. HTML document dynamically. So by dynamically, I mean after loading the page, it would make changes. So that was what JavaScript was originally intended for, but later on, and one person, I don't remember the name, he made a compiler for JavaScript known as Node.js. And so now before that, JavaScript would only run on your browser, this browser console. So this is a browser console, just like the same one I showed you earlier. So JavaScript only used to work inside a browser, right? So what this guy did was he brought that compiler that the browser uses outside. So he brought the compiler used in Chrome, uh, called the V8 engine, and he brought it outside such that you can compile it in your terminal or command prompt. So if you have Node.js installed in your computer, you can go to your terminal or command prompt and press node, and then you can do the same thing as the console. You can do the same thing as the console, like document. You get the whole document. I showed you this in the JavaScript tutorial. Similarly, if you press, but it won't work here because this is in a website. Document thing only works in a website. The document is predefined in a website, but here it is not a website, so it's not defined. So, but you can do, the JavaScript stuff over here. You can execute your JavaScript code here. So, A plus B. See, so Node.js lets you use JavaScript for purposes other than manipulating a website. Well, however, Node.js is most commonly used for creating web servers, so it's still related to the web. Uh, what is a web server? It's a, I think I showed you this uh, in the first day 2 tutorial. This Python M simple HTTP server. I also gave you a detailed explanation of what a server is. So I'll just tell you that quickly. A server is something that fetches the files for you and then uh, serves it to you. So if you were to open, if you want to open this website, you always have to come here and double click this, or you'll have to type this whole link, right? If you have a server, you just have to go to the link in that the server is hosted on, and it will serve you the same page. Plus, a server can do all sorts of different stuff that we are not going to get into. That is the backend. Uh, if you don't know what backend and front end is, what we're doing right now is the front end, which is seen by users, and you can also do programming like JavaScript. Anyone looking at your website, like for example, I can check the JavaScript of this website whenever I want. Like it will be here somewhere. Storage, I guess. No, not storage. I forgot where it is. There you go. Main.js and wait. So I can actually see the script. It's the same for any website. If you want to see this JavaScript running inside a website, you can see it. So front end basically means programming code or whatever you write such that anyone using that application can see that code. The backend is something that runs on a server, and people usually can't or are not supposed to see that code. So we're not going to get into backend because you first need to know front end uh, or not. But okay, this goes about front end, so we're not going to touch into that. But Node.js is built for such things, and Firebase is built on top of Node.js. So in the earlier example, I showed you a server by Python. Similarly, there's servers that you can make with Node.js. So Firebase makes such a server and then serves your files in there in Google's data clouds or data centers. So it's a free service. I mean, it's free up to a certain limit, but for our purposes, this would be enough. So if you don't have an account, or if you aren't logged in, if you have a Google account, you just have to link it. That's basically how you can get into Firebase. So if you haven't linked your account to Firebase already, do link it. And once you link it, you will see this go to console. You just have to go to console. It will show you all your projects that is inside Firebase. So I have these two projects inside my Firebase. These are two other websites I've already hosted, and you just have to create a new project, and let's say LFH. It must be 14 characters long. So learn from home. You'll get an ID here. If you want, you can change it. March. Learn from home 2020. Okay. So your ID will be used to identify. It will be used to identify the project name. Project. Uh, this will be handy if you change it to something that is more easier to remember. I'll show you why later. Uh, if you want, you can enable this. I'm not going to get into it. Off. I don't want to go through that setup, so I'm just going to disable that. So this Firebase thing is super easy to just host if you're a really a beginner to web development, and there are other ways of hosting websites. You can put it in GitHub and make it a GitHub page. That is possible, but that's the thing with that is you cannot in GitHub you cannot put your own what do you say, you cannot do the backend, whereas in Firebase you can do some backend. I'm not sure if you can do all sorts of stuff in that, but you're limited to the amount of things you can do in the backend in Firebase, but most of the things you can. So project is ready, and so this is your project's dashboard. And what we want to do, there's a bunch of stuff you can do inside a project, and we're only going to look at hosting. And okay, so in hosting you can just press get started, and then it will show you what to do. uh, so before you do this, Firebase, you have to install the Firebase CLI, or it's a program that only runs on the terminal, in this terminal. How to take open the terminal, you have to press Control and backticks. Backticks is the key right under your escape key, or you can, I forgot how you open the terminal. Okay, so you can press this Control Shift backticks. I only press Control backticks, I don't know why. So yeah, what is Control Shift backtick? Oh, it opens another terminal. Okay. So Control backticks or Control Shift backticks, so you can press this to open the terminal. And if you haven't installed Firebase CLI earlier, which I think most of you haven't, you have to install the Firebase CLI. So open this. Before that, you have to install Node.js. I'm sorry. You have to install Node.js. So there's different ways of different installation packages for different operating systems. So check out, download the package for your operating system and install it however is shown. For example, if yours Linux, you go to Linux and then save, and they'll show you the instructions after that. So just follow the instruction. It's not that complicated, so I'm not going to show you that. And same thing for Firebase also. You have to select your OS. I'm running Linux based OS. I'm running Ubuntu. Uh, so yeah, you have to do this, and you can only install this after installing Node.js. So install that first, and you can choose one of these. Okay, just go through the steps, do it as it is, and then you have to log in as well. You have to log into your account. Once you do this, they'll give you a link, and if you open that link, you will be able to log in. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Once you log in, it's fine. And oh yeah, it's already here. So if you have Node.js installed, you just have to press this. So that this is the install link. Okay, so I have it already installed, so I'm not going to show you that. Then press next. Firebase login, Firebase init. So after Firebase login, you have to press this. You have to do that. I think I have logged in already, so I'm going into Firebase init. So once you do Firebase init, it's going to put some files into this. It will be just some Firebase configuration inside. Okay, when you're running this, make sure you're inside the folder. Okay, you have to be inside the folder, or if you're opening terminal, if you're in Ubuntu, you can simply do that by doing this. So yeah, now choose what we're going to do. We're going to we're going to take hosting, so go to hosting and press space, and use an existing project. We have already created the project, so use an existing project, and now select the project. So it's learn from home for me. What do you want to use as your public directory? For this, if just give dot slash configure as a single page app. No, because we have 2 pages. It's not a single page. Index.html already exists. Override. No. So once that is done, basically good to go. Your Firebase is already done, and the last command here is Firebase Deploy. So what this does is it looks at how many files there are in this, and it uploads that files to their data server, and then it will create a website for you, and it will give you the link right here. So if you go to that link, you will see your website hosted. So this is why I told you to edit that ID in the first place, because it's this link that you're going to get. So that's basically how you install and use Firebase, and that's it. Your website is hosted, it's running, and one thing to know about Firebase, it has its limits. Like if you're uh, I did one of these projects before. It was for my it was for an event in my college, and I hosted using Firebase. But the problem was that we received a lot of applications, and a lot of people were looking at the website. And what happened was, fortunately, happened on the last day, but the limit of the Firebase reached. So Firebase has a limit on how many people can view the website in a particular set amount of time. So I think it's a month. So you can only have like 40,000 people. I remember. I think I remember. It's if I'm right, it's 40,000 requests a month. So you cannot make more requests than that. So if you reach if you reach that limit, after reaching that limit, when people try to look at your website, they won't be able to look at the website. The website won't show up. So in order to do that, you have to upgrade your plan. So if you're using Firebase to make a serious project, and a project that you think that a lot of people are going to look at, you need to upgrade. But otherwise, it's free. You can see the exact full plan details over here. I'm not going to go into that. So yeah, if you go back to your console, you can see that there are two options for how you can open your website. This is a comparatively new one. This used to be the only option before, but this is a comparatively new one. It's shorter and I like it better. So you can share either one of these links to your friends and they'll be able to see that website. And if you want to add your custom domain, you can add a custom domain, which is if you have your own domain like I do here. So let's say but.dev. That, I mean, but.dev is my domain. I bought this. Uh, it, it is costly, so there are free ones available, but I wouldn't recommend them. Instead, just use these. Uh, so yeah, that's that's it. Firebase done. So this is the last tutorial that we'll be doing, and tomorrow I'll give you a brief description of the project that you're supposed to do. I'll just make if I have time, I'll create a similar project in my computer, and then I'll just show you the website. So you have to do a similar website. I also mentioned the website in the first tutorial, the first video. If you want, you can go back and look at that if you want. So yeah, I want you to make the project, and you can make the project however you want. You can use templates or frameworks like Material Design, or if you know Bootstrap, you can use Bootstrap. It's up to you. You can do whatever you want. Just do it like the website's purpose should be as the one I said. I'll give you a description again tomorrow. And another thing is it has to be hosted on Firebase, and I want you to give the link to the Firebase hosted thing rather than I don't want you to give me the code in GitHub or Google Drive or anything like that. I want you to send me the link. Okay, so I want you to host it and send me the link. So, and oh yeah, one more thing, if you're making any changes to the website and you want that change to be shown in here, what you can do is you just have to like make the change. So for example, I'm just going to put this, and once you make the change, just press just enter the Firebase deploy command again, and Firebase will look for all the changes, and see it found only one file change. One file was there was only one file that was changed, so it only uploaded that. And yeah, so that's it. So every time you make a change and you want it to be reflected on your website here, just press Firebase deploy and it will deploy. And don't delete any of these files. These files are important if you need the Firebase website to work. There are a bunch of, if you look at the hidden files, there will be also some other hidden files. Don't delete any of them. And so yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll give you a brief description of the project, and I hope you will make the project within a week. And once you do that, the course will be complete. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing those projects.